Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard USFL Week 8. We got 3 more weeks left until the modern inaugural USFL regular season comes to a close, and playoff picture shaping up. We have some matchups this week that we want to discuss, and we also look back at last week. But first of all, Smokey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Better than Gamblers fans at the moment. I got pulled that one out, man. So actually, I went 4-0 last week, and we only disagreed on 1. So you got 3, which gives me that point back that I gave to you over the Maulers incident. That's going to be a famous incident from this point on.
The Maulers incident?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Brings the total to 19 for me and 18 for you.
I agree on making the Maulers incident a real thing. We will make that a landmark in the history of the podcast. But we're going to forget about the Gamblers incident, I believe, because this entire season has been an incident as far as I'm concerned. This is the team that I've been losing all my points on because I've picked them way more than their record shows. Which is because they're better than their record shows, but will you show for at 1 point can you win a game?
Well, I agree. They are better than the record showed. And they were winning in the first half of that game, and they looked good, but they can't close out games. Their defense falls apart in the second half, mostly in the fourth quarter, as we saw this week.
It's been that story, I guess. You can look at it both ways, right? I always look at it in the sense of they always play them close. It's always close game. They always lose last second. So they're better than they look. But then you could also come at it from this angle and say they're not coming through in the clutch when it matters. They can't finish. Can't close it out.
That's very true.
Could look at it both ways.
They gave up way too much in that fourth quarter, but I'm sure we'll talk about it.
We'll get them when we get there. First of all, speaking of the Maulers incident, we have the Pittsburgh Maulers at the New Jersey Generals.
Yeah, Vatley, he had that one incredible game, so I wanted to believe in him, and that led to the Maulers incident. But here, as we saw this week, he is not good. He's actually having arguments with the coach on the sideline, and they're going at it. It's just not working out. This team is all in disarray. They're not going to get it together. London was the best running back on the team, but even he wasn't good. Henney showed up again for this game, but it is what it is. You don't have a capable passing quarterback. You have a running quarterback, and even that's not working out most times. On the other side of the ball, you have Luis Perez, who is still the most accurate quarterback in the USFL, along with Victor and the Moore brothers. There's 2 Moores at wide receiver, which really confuses me now. And it's crazy to see the USFL because the wide receivers for many of these teams change up every week. There's a big litany of receivers for all the teams, but the number ones change up every single week, and you'll see them going to different guys. But now we got more and more out there catching balls, and if it's from Luis Perez, then the Generals are going to win this game.
I can't disagree with a word you said. I think you're right with the Luis Perez take. Probably one of your better takes at the start of the season because you would bang on the table on him from week 1.
Absolutely.
And he's been showing up. Now, on the contrary, the Vadley take, an incident like you said.
Yeah, that was bad.
Mistake of the moment. You got caught on the train that didn't go anywhere. Maulers are demonstrably terrible. We didn't expect them to win, to be honest, against the Stallions. We expected exactly what we got, which was them losing in a pretty convincing fashion. Could have been worse. Could have been a blowout. We said this could have been a shutout. Didn't turn out to be that way. It's a respectable scoreline, but clearly 2 different classes of teams. Same thing is going to happen here as well because the Generals just keep winning, and they're going to beat the Maulers without much of an issue. The New Orleans Breakers at the Birmingham Stallions.
Probably the game of the week right here, right? Kyle Sloter. Did you happen to notice that Shea Patterson is now the backup to Kyle Sloter? Like that That's ridiculous. The run game's still a committee. It's a bad run game. These guys don't have much of a run game for the Breakers. Dixon and Poindexter and the guys out there. This whole team is a committee. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start splitting Shea Patterson in there at quarterback, because there are no stars on this team, in my opinion. Like, there's some good players. Poindexter is a great wide receiver. Dixon, but everything's a committee. Like, everything is just split evenly, it seems. On the other side, Jamar Smith was not good this week. This is probably the worst game I've ever seen him play. But you happen to have Bo Scarborough, which I'm going to start calling him Diet Henry, because he is Diet Derrick Henry at this point. He had another 100-yard game. Magoo was out there. Was playing wide receiver for some reason. But, yeah, not much in the way of receivers in this game. Jamar Smith wasn't passing well, and Bo Scarborough got the job done. I will pick the Stallions to beat the Breakers there.
It's a close one. So first, I'll pick up on the Shea Patterson thing, as you pointed out. That's an admission of guilt, if I've ever seen it, for a team to have the first overall pick out of the building before the end of the regular season, and now he's backing up on a different team, and you're starting Josh Love.
Yeah,
it was a pick made with the intent of building a fan base in Michigan. You didn't have any Michigan fans in Birmingham. It was a bad move. We said it from the start. It was a terrible move, and it cost them the entire season. Realistically, it's just, you had the disarray at the quarterback position, and you're down 1-6 in the record. So you've wasted an entire season just because of that. We'll get to the Panthers when we get to them. Breakers, similar to the Stallions, both teams really just took care of business. No really impressive wins there. Both were more than expected, I'd say. Kyle Sloter has been pretty consistent these past few weeks. I do like the stat lines, and that's what makes me a bit hesitant, because, well, I'm not going to start doubting the Stallions' quarterback play, but lining up Alex Magoo at receiver, and he's not very good at receiver, didn't catch one, but they threw a couple his way. And Jamar Smith didn't have a great day. We did mention that they do have the rushing threat still available. Not necessarily from the quarterback position last week before Scarborough. The talent still says Stallions. The record says Stallions. Most recent history would say take the Breakers. But then again, I don't like relying on that. I like to make the reasonable pick. And also the Stallions on my team, I'm going to keep believing in them. They have the most star power on the roster, in my opinion. Still two of the best quarterbacks. I would like to see Alex Magoo be used properly. If Jamar Smith is your starter, then at least have him be the backup. Treat him like a proper quarterback. Don't come out in weird Wildcats and dual quarterback nonsense. That's like something you do with Tim Tebow, right? That's not with someone who's potentially still like the quarterback of your franchise. Don't love to see that. I'd love to see a little bit less of that. In fact, nothing, none at all. But I'll take the Stallions as well. I agree with it. But I will say this is a dangerous one. This could be the roadblock for sure. Because the Breakers can beat anyone. If they play the way they're playing, the passing offense is playing the way it's been playing these past few weeks, Breakers can beat anyone. But I'm going to trust Stallions take the air out of the ball, run the option, pound it with Bo Scarborough. You have running quarterbacks, control the time of possession, control the timing of the game, and I think they'll get it done. But roadblock, just a warning, could be an upset if we want to call it that. The Panthers, as we mentioned before, at your Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah, it's actually tougher than it looks right here, because with Shea Patterson out, the Panthers are better with Josh Love. We may have actually noted that earlier in the season when Josh Love played a little bit before he was hurt and they had to bring Patterson back. But now he's out the door, and the Panthers took the Breakers, who are probably the consensus number 3 in the league, definitely number 2 in the South. They took them to overtime and had a really good chance at winning this game. And that's with Shea Patterson telling the coach on the sideline what play the Panthers are about to run, and they still almost beat the Breakers. The Panthers are better than their record also. You know, you can say what you want to about the Gamblers, but I think the Panthers are better than their record, especially with Shea Patterson gone. Corbin is the heart of this team, really, because Josh Love's not going to get it done with his arm, so you need a good running back, and you just so happen to have Corbin there, who went 13 for 108. Lance Lenoir is a star whenever he does take shots downfield. But on the other side, it is my Philadelphia Stars. Connor Cookus was better. He was good in the fourth quarter. I would say it's hard to say he was better overall this week because he wasn't good for the first half of the game. But he made up for it in the fourth quarter. You know, looked good. Colburn wasn't bad. I mean, this is a run-first team in the end. I wish Brian Scott would come back. I would feel much better about it. He would make a really good connection with Sewell out there. But I'm going to stick with my Stars. I'll take them to beat the Panthers.
It's hard to not pick the Stars for me, though something tells me to go with the Panthers. If it's only you would have thought the 1 or 2 game bump would apply if your starting quarterback who's been playing terrible gets out of there, but maybe that only applies to coaches, because the Panthers didn't win this game. Maybe if the coach gets out of there as well, which that's happened before. If he's out of there, might help as well, even with the NFL pedigree. But no real bump there to be seen. They played the Breakers, played them close, but end up losing. Stars look fine. You mentioned Reggie Corbin going off for the Panthers. That is something to build on. Definitely the rushing attack. You've kind of conceded that you're not very good at the quarterback position. You've traded your first overall pick, and now you're starting Josh Love, which is something to look at for the future. That's fine, and he's an athletic. He can possibly be a dual threat quarterback. We can count him in that regard as well. Panthers, I have maybe a little bit more hope for the future, the immediate future, than I do say for the Maulers. But still, I'll take the Stars, team that's been winning, that's been contending, even though they're 4-3 and they're probably pretty average. They're more solid. Have a more solid foundation, right? They have a solid core of receivers. They have a solid starting quarterback, and that's worth a lot. And getting late into a season, chemistry develops, and meanwhile, you have the other team that just is replacing quarterbacks, that's juggling receivers, and that is just having a stable running game be established. I'll take the Stars as well, though I don't love doing it, because I also want to disagree with you on some games, but I think it has to be the right pick.
Yeah.
Finally, got the Houston Gamblers at the Tampa Bay Bandits.
This is your chance to disagree right here, and I'll say this: Clayton Thorson injured. Bahar came in, and I don't know, was basically as average looking as it gets. I mean, it wasn't bad. 1 TD, 1 interception. Thompson got a TD, but wasn't really good. Dylan Dawkins was on the back of a milk carton. I saw him out there a couple of times. I ain't going to say he was completely missing. Like, he didn't get lost on the way to the stadium, but that was their number 1 running back, and now he's not. Redding was doing well. Should have used him more. He was actually on fire when he was being utilized, but with Clayton Thorson injured, maybe that's probably not going to be a great connection in the future, and they lost it, like I said, in the second half of the game. The Bandits, though, Jordan Tambu had a really bad game. This probably his worst game of the season so far. It was horrible. He went back to throwing the interceptions like we saw at the beginning of the season. I hope this is not a downward slide for him, because he was looking really efficient out there, and of course, he's splitting the run game with Washington and Emmons. He's good when he's not throwing interceptions, is all I can really say. I mean, Powell out there and O'Grady, when he's on, he's on. But obviously when he's not, he's just completely not. If it wasn't for Clayton Thorson going out, I would take the Gamblers right here, because I think the Gamblers are capable of beating the Bandits. But now that he's injured, I can't take that risk. So maybe you want to. I'll take the Bandits.
In a way, I want to, and then also in a way, I don't, because we have two quarterback situations that have suddenly become volatile. And, I praise Jordan Tamu as being the best player in the league, the face of the franchise, face of the league, which is true to a point, and the team around him is not very good. But then when you get games like this, where he's not living up to that standard, there's no chance. He got smothered by the Generals defense. There's no better way of saying it.
Yeah.
He 3 interceptions. He dropped the balls while he had a fumble. He didn't get anything done on the ground either. They shut him down, kept him in the box all day. There was just nothing going. And when that happens, that's the game. That's the ball game. Because having Jordan Tamu on this team is a sort of a kiss-curse situation. Yeah, he's probably the most gifted player with the ball in his hand in the league, and yeah, he can take games over. Like we could call him maybe the Aaron Rodgers of the USFL if you want to go that far. Well, the competition gets scaled down, so the player skill gets scaled down.
Yeah.
Maybe we not use that. Maybe we don't put that kind of name in the conversation. We'll call him I don't know, Justin Herbert. What am I know what I'm looking for? They're really good, like, quarterback who can carry a team sometimes. But when he's not all the way there, the team isn't there, and they didn't show up from start to finish in this game. On the other hand, the Gamblers, which I love wasting all my points on and never catching up to you. See, I want to make this cheap excuse and say that if I knew Clayton Thorson was fine, he was playing, I would rely on them and I'd pick him here. But that's too cheap of an excuse, because there's other issues that we've seen with this. Because I like to say that they're good at controlling the time of possession, but then they get nothing done on the ground. I like to say that their defense is at least solid, 0 sacks all game. I brought this up at the start, but you can really look at their record and the way that they've got there in 2 different views. You could highlight it in a positive way and say it's always close. You could highlight it in a negative way and say they can't finish. They can't show up when it matters. Jordan Tamu has a history of showing up when it matters. But then again, you're 3-4, and in a 10-week season, every game matters. This is tough for me to pick, and I'm actually deciding this right now on the fly. I haven't made my pick preemptively, so I'm really just gonna go on a whim. I'm gonna go one last time. You could say I'm gambling, but I'm gonna pick the Houston Gamblers one last time. If this burns me, I'm done. I'm out. I'm out anyway because they're playing Birmingham next week. Yeah. But if this burns, and then New Orleans the week after, so this is my last chance to pick them realistically. I'll take it. I'll take the opportunity one more time. I'm going with Houston to bring back the defense, bring back the pass rush, and replicate a piece of what the Generals did to Jordan Tamu, which is smother him from start to finish for 60 minutes. Keep him in the box, don't let him escape, don't let him scramble, don't let him create plays in the second level with his feet. And everything's possible. You control the ball, you keep him on the sidelines, you don't allow him to play Superman like the Aaron Rodgers of the USFL. You can win the game. The Bandits are a terrible team. Roster-wise, the Gamblers are head and shoulders above the Bandits. Roster-wise, it's Jordan Tamu. That's the one thing. The Bandits are the Packers of the USFL because they have the worst roster in the league, but they have that quarterback that keeps them afloat.
That is true. That is true. I'll agree with that. Although I like Emmons, but they don't use him as the number one back for the most part. But when he seems to be really good. Jordan
Tamu was, more often than not, we look down, he's the leading rusher, leading passer. Yeah. If he could throw it to himself, he would.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to take the Gamblers. One last time. Double or nothing. I'm getting that point back. And then I'm not taking them again for the rest of the season, obviously.
Putting it on Bahar to go out there and get the win here.
Yeah. I'm assuming. So yeah. If they do, I still won't take them against Birmingham, probably. No way. But if they do, so I'll see my trust validated. If not, come back next season. We're done. I'm definitely out. I'm guaranteeing it. But,
I think they will smother him. I think they will in the first half of the game. But that defense is going to get tired. Like, it seems to happen every single week. And then they're just going to let him run all over the field.
You end up chasing him. If you don't score, like, by yourself properly, you don't keep him on the sideline, get your defense rested. That's the thing. You can't let him drive on you.
Oh, yeah.
If you give him an 8-minute drive, that's the score. Because you're not catching up to him.
Yeah, but
at the end of it, defense is going to be tired. You have to control the ball, especially you're playing a more unexperienced quarterback. You want to run, establish your run game yourself for sure. It's possible, like you said. But
yeah, definitely. They just don't seem to be able to do it at the end of the game. They always start off strong and then they blow it. They
gotta close it out this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Control it for 60 minutes. I'll take him one last time.
All right.
And I will finally. I'm seeking this moment where I finally look brilliant for picking the Gamblers 5 weeks in a row or something, and they lose and lose and lose. And I'm seeing something there. I have to pick him. I'm seeing something in it. I just want that to be validated. So
if I had the Maulers incident and Houston loses again this week, this whole season is going to be the Houston incident for you.
Oh, it's already that. It's already that. That's the reason. That's the reason we're close in betting, and I'm always like a point behind. Is because of the Gamblers. Nothing else.
Because of
I could have
gambling.
just picked against them blindly ahead of time for the whole season. I'd be at like 3 points now.
Absolutely.
Damn near.
You're such a gambler, man. You're a Houston gambler.
I know. I'm a Houston gambler. It's that's tough. But when it pays off, man, it pays off, and it's gonna pay off this week. Against the Tampa Bay Bandits. I believe, I fully trust. I trust that defense to show up. And they better show up. Stallions still undefeated.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Hope it stays that way for my sake. And for the sake of the league, potentially.
Yeah,
Talked about it last week a little bit.
Hopefully the Generals will stay at only one loss to the Stallions and get that rematch for the championship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It has to come down to that, right?
Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Would love to see it for sure.
So we'll see Breakers, Generals, and Stars. No, I'm sorry. We're going to see Breakers, Stallions, Stars, and the Generals. And hopefully Stallions, Generals in the championship.
Hopefully not the Stars for you? I thought you would hope for the Stars.
I would, but I don't think they're beating the Generals. The Generals are too good.
Generals are good.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. Yeah, you got Luis Perez and no one to root for.
Luis Perez is 10 times better than Connor Cookus, that's for sure. If Brian Scott was back, maybe they'd have a chance, but Luis Perez is too good. He's just too accurate. Like he should be back in the NFL. Hey, the guy learned how to play quarterback through watching YouTube videos.
Yeah,
somehow he's the most accurate quarterback in the USFL. Doing that,
he could be a good career backup in the NFL.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that's what you need your backup to be, right? Doesn't need to be flashy, doesn't need to be dual threat, any of that. Just you need to be able to come in and play fundamentally sound quarterback game
and save the game.
Throw accurate passes and don't mess it up. That's what you ask from a backup. So maybe maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes after this season. Let us know your picks, your predictions in the comments. If you're, by the way, if you happen by any chance to be an NBA watcher, also please let me know your finals predictions. Can you guess mine?
Probably Golden State.
Probably gonna be Golden State. Yeah, I'm gonna say. I want to be generous. I'm gonna say 6 games. If anyone's interested in that, please let me know in the comments as well. I'm gonna say 6. Do you have anything to add remaining for this week in the USFL?
No, I think that's it for this week.
All right. Thank you for watching. Drop us a like on the show and subscribe to Beyond Football. Catch more episodes coming out on a weekly basis. Hot phase of the season. 2 more weeks after this one, and we're closing out the initial USFL season. So big hype for playoffs, and see what keeps happening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.